What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 2 ways to run a 10-yard out route, okay? So we're going to be looking at 2 specific clips here from Keenan Allen against the exact same DB, using the exact same release, but setting him up with an outside release and then being able to set him up with an inside release. You have to be able to trust yourself at the top of the route. You don't want to force an outside release always on an outside breaking route. You don't want to force an inside release always on an inside breaking route. So I hope this video helps you out, teaches you a few new things about route running and how you guys can structure your own routes, okay? But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to know all the drills you need to be doing on the field to improve your route running, your press releases, your hands, check out that very first link in the description below for our 28-day on-field wide receiver workout plan. What it is a 4-week-long schedule where we break down all the on-field drills wide receivers need to be doing, broken down to sets, repetitions, rest periods, and we include a 30-minute long video where we show you an example of each drill and break it down and show the importance. So very first link below if you want to get access to that. Let's get started with this video. So Keenan Allen's going to be going with this hesitation op release, hitting him with a double up, and then breaking this thing right off on this speed out, right? So now I want to show you guys the second release as well as the first release. Now you see how on the second release, I'm not going to play the full clip, he takes the inside release instead of the outside release. So let's talk about that. So going off the line of scrimmage, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, all the best route runners off the line of scrimmage, because everybody wants to know how to beat press, right? Everybody wants to know what you got to be able to do, how you can be a technician off the line, because everybody's so afraid to get jammed and get rerouted. That's the whole reason DBs go down and play press, so they can disrupt the timing with the quarterback. But how I make myself unpredictable as a wide receiver is everything that I do looks similar from point A to point B, right? Devontae Adams, he loves that hezzy skip to the outside. Keenan Allen, he's working on this little hesitation skip to the inside, right? So releases, when you got a DB who's here who's going to be trying to get physical, and let's say you got to run a timing route like a 10-yard out. A lot of the times it's about keeping timing with the quarterback. Obviously, we can't waste too much time, but also it's about reaction. So we are reacting and reading off of whatever this DB does. So you see when Allen kind of hits him with this hesitation op release to the inside, when he's here and he squares this guy up, all he's doing is he's gathering info, right? And a lot of the times as a receiver, you have to be prepared for this specific situation. We're trying to react off of what he does. So if he jumps to the inside, that's fine. I attacked his leverage. I just opened up a ton of space for me to the outside to work to restack, and then I have a ton of space to where I can accelerate out of the break. So we were trying to gather info on this guy. How is he going to play me? If I hesitate off the line and he sits to the outside, I'm just going to take the inside release, work to restack, try to break it off, or maybe work a throw by and slip underneath. But right here, this little hesitation skip, that in itself is the thing that sets up this route. Because if I could get him to think that I'm maybe taking a little hezzy, take the inside release, and then if maybe when I do run the outside, maybe I give him a little hezzy and he sits to the outside, that opens up the inside release. So it's all about making it look the same so this guy can't be predictable, right? And this is one-on-ones. This is a guy that's on his own team, right? But when you're going against a team like 11-on-11, you're in the middle of the season, like DBs are going to watch film. Maybe not in the youth level, maybe not in the lower levels of high school, right? But when you get to college, and especially in the league, everybody's going to be watching film and they're trying to pick up those little things that you do that they can, because a DB is so hard because they're guessing 24/7. So they're trying to pick up on the little aspects of your game that you do. Like if you're on a 10-yard out, you always go with this type of a release where you hesitate, give a 1-2, then get up into the route. The problem with that is this DB is going to be expecting it. Anytime he sees you do that hesitation move, he's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to sit to the outside. He's going to run right into me because I know he's got nothing else. That's why you got to have so many dang tools in your toolbox to be able to use to get up into a route, right? So he does a great job of hesitating to the outside, throwing to the inside here, selling with his upper half, actually stepping outside of his frame with that crossover, and then he's able to burst up into this route, right? So now there's 2 ways you can do an outside release out route, right? You could get up into the route, try to restack the best you can, and by restack, I mean trying to get this guy to trail your back hip and make a move, or if he plays this thing well, you could give him that little like chicken wing technique. So what do I mean by that? So when we get to the top of the route, we could give him a little bit of like, you see how Allen kind of throws his hand out there, his inside hand, where he kind of almost, if he was a little bit closer, this DB, it would be like that subtle little like nudge at the top of the route, almost like a push off, but we're not extending so we won't get flagged for it. But those are the 2 things that we could do. We either work to restack if we got time, or we get a little bit of a lean into him with my inside arm. So when I make that sudden break, I can create some space and I could widen the gap. But it's so important that when we take an outside release on an outside breaking route like this, we don't just round it off into the out route, and we don't fly off of like that quote unquote like line, I guess you could say, the red line's over here, but we don't fly off of that like restack line. We don't want to just run to the out route because that gives him more space to react and be able to undercut this thing. Just make sure we restack and get back over the top. So let's watch the thing again before we get into that second route. Great job by Allen, hesitating, making his releases look the same, then bursting back up to the top of the route to make this catch. So now let's take a look at this. Same release. Now the DB sits to the outside, right? And he does a great job of running this inside release out route. So a lot of coaches will tell you, You have an outside breaking route, you cannot take an inside release, right? That's what a lot of people will say, and that's completely false. You have to trust yourself at the top of the break. You have to trust what you're doing at the top of the route and trust your moves off the line. You want to take what this DB gives you, okay? You don't want to force anything, because you see when Allen, he hesitates off the line, if he would have predetermined the last release that he did, so many receivers will do this. They'll predetermine what they're doing, and when the DB takes it away, they're completely lost. But you see how he hesitates off the line. He squares this DB up. Same thing. DB wants to sit to the outside. Imagine if Allen would have tried to do the crossover here. He would have ran right into him, and then the route would be completely dead because that DB did his job and screwed up timing with the quarterback. So Allen does a great job of reacting in this case. He comes off the line. He hesitates. DB sits to the outside. All right, fine. I'm just going to burst up field. I'm going to take what that DB gives me. That's the most important thing. Take what he gives you. The whole reason he's outside shade for a reason. He wants to force you to the inside. If he's inside shade, he's inside shade for a reason. He wants to force you to the outside. So don't try to force an inside release versus a hard inside shade DB. Don't try to force an outside release versus a hard outside shade DB, right? We got to make sure that we understand how to run each route no matter what release it is. The only routes that could be kind of tough is probably like a comeback route. That'd be very tough against an outside shade DB, right? Because obviously you don't want to run a comeback route with an inside release. That'd be extremely tough, but that's probably the only one that I could see. And then obviously like a slant, you can't take an outside release on a slant and try to run around the guy. You have to slip back underneath and take an inside release. But it's one of those things that you got to make sure that you trust yourself. That's what I'm trying to get across here. And you see how Allen, now there's two ways that you can run this specific out route when you have an inside release. You could do very similar to the outside release that we were talking about. You could either restack, get that DB trailing your back hip, and then maybe give a move at the top like a rocker step, a heavy cut, whatever it may be, a little peek back move, whatever it is. Or what you could do is if this DB's running hip to hip with you, you could work a throw by technique. And that's exactly what Allen does. When this DB plays it well, as soon as I hit that break point, I'm swatting him by either on the back of his hip or the back of his shoulder. Those are the 2 points of control that's going to control his momentum up, and then I can slip back underneath and accelerate out of this route, right? And again, fellas, every single route, you have to have the 3 phases. You have to have the vertical stem, you have to have the break point, but you also have to have the acceleration out of this break. And you see, especially when we're in a situation where I got a DB and I'm taking an inside release on an out route and he's here, even if I do throw him by correctly, right? Even if I do get a ton of separation at the break point, what's he going to do? He's probably going to speed turn, right? He's going to be flipping his hips and is going to be breaking on that ball. And when he breaks on that ball, I got to make sure that I'm faster than him, and I got to make sure that I win that race to the ball, because that's how I'm going to be able to create space, right? So let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Keenan Allen reacting off of the line. Make sure, fellas, we are not one-dimensional. We can run any kind of route with any kind of release based off of the coverage, based off of what that DB gives me. Let's watch the thing again, full speed. Great job hesitating off the line, seeing the DB's outside shade, pushing up vertical, then running this out route, slipping back underneath. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I always appreciate the feedback. Always appreciate the things you guys have to say. It helps me come up with new ideas for the channel, so I definitely appreciate it. And again, fellas, 4-week-long on-field wide receiver workout plan. All the drills you need to do, over 150 plus drills broken down to a daily drill schedule for you guys. Sets and reps, everything's worked out. We give video examples of each drill so you guys aren't confused. Check out that very first link below if you're interested in that. I'll see you guys next time.